Hello and welcome back to another video today here again on Gran Turismo 7 to take a look at another of the new vehicles added as part of Update 1.40 or Gran Turismo 7 Spec 2.0 or whatever it's called, which is this Tesla Model 3 Performance. So, of course, being a new vehicle, it's purchasable from Brand Central, and for a rather reasonable 55,000 credits, which by far makes it the cheapest car from this update. It's available in 5 colours, so not a lot of choice: white, grey, black, blue, and red. So, of course, I went for the red. So it may seem like a bit of a strange choice to take a look at the Model 3 Performance next, because I've only taken a look at the 400R and the GT3 RS so far and not covered some of the other cars. And I don't particularly like Teslas anymore, but I think it is quite an interesting one, partly because Tesla seem to be absent from pretty much every other racing game out there at the moment, so interesting to see that this is being added to Gran Turismo. And it's not the only Tesla in this game. We previously had the Model S, but not any of the recent or powerful ones, so in fact this Model 3 Performance that's just been added produces more power at 531 horsepower rather than the 410 of the Model S we have in this game, and it weighs about 200 kilos less at 1,836, which is still extremely heavy, but then it is an electric vehicle. Not sure there's really much else I have to say about the Model 3. We're all pretty familiar with Teslas, the Model 3 being the kind of slightly smaller model that sits below the Model S in the lineup. I did just discover, though, although this one, the Performance, is a 2023 introduction, the Model 3's actually been around since 2016, which I find kind of hard to believe, although it probably wasn't, because I think it took several years for anybody to actually get one delivered. But anyway, when I first drove it here at the Grand Valley Highway 1, though, my first impression was just how ridiculously fast it is. I mean, that is kind of to be expected with an electric car, particularly on acceleration, but it was more than I thought it would be going into this. And it wasn't just the acceleration, but just the outright speed, which I suppose makes sense. It does have 500 horsepower, but it does also weigh quite a lot. And as well as the straight line speed, when I got to the corner, I was slightly surprised how well it went round it. Like, it's no racing car, it's no GT3 car or anything, but the way it went round the corners was pretty incredible, which gave me a bit too much confidence in it as I kind of went off into the gravel at one point. But anyway, yeah, I was really surprised by how good it was in the corners and how fun it was to drive, actually. So often one of the great things about having a more normal car in a game like this is that you can then go and make it absolutely mad, as it was never really intended to be. Although, to be fair, it was already a pretty powerful car. But as you can see, with almost everything in Gran Turismo, you can wide-body it for a rather substantial cost. So I'm going to do that. Which, of course, then means I need some new wheels to fill those arches, and for some reason I think that works. I don't know why, but I kind of like that. So anyway, let's do that. Make them bigger, wider, and more offset. Perfect. And then apply some custom parts, which there are options. I think much carbon fibre. The same there. This is exactly why cars like this are brilliant in racing games. And you may remember a long time ago, actually, here on Gran Turismo, I modified a Prius, which was a whole load of fun. And that used to be in Forza way back in Motorsport 4. So, yeah, there's just something brilliant about having cars like this. I could put custom wing, but I kind of like that, actually. You know what? We're going insane with this. Let's put that on. I mean, just look what we've turned what was a fairly ordinary Tesla into already. Absolutely mad. Now we just need a bright colour for it. So there are, of course, many colours that I have just here anyway, but generally speaking, I quite like to use real manufacturer colours, although some of these are absolutely brilliant. So let's go on that. Now, immediately before I even looked at these, I was thinking of one of the Roof or Porsche pinks, probably. Maybe Roof's magenta, I think. So, as we're going completely insane with this thing, why not go for a stupid colour? So I'm very tempted to do that, but I will take a quick look through and see if there's anything better. For example, Lamborghini Arancio Argos is always a pretty good thing to go for. Or Verde Mantis, or Lime Green, given it's an electric vehicle. Maybe we should be going green. But basically the theme here is the Lamborghini colours are good. You know what, I'm going with what my original thought was for this. We're going with the pink. What we can probably do, though, is... Yes, I was going to say we can do other in green, but I think that's a bit too much. I think we do that in black. There we go. Oh, maybe the... Hang on. Mirrors should already... also be black. There we go. Just tone the pink down a little bit. Perfect. Now I think we need some performance modifications to make it the Tesla 3 performance. Being an electric vehicle, though, the upgrades are kind of slightly limited because, well, all of the power upgrades are to do with engines. What we can do is weight reduction stage 5, though, for a huge 120,000 credits, which takes, well, weight down to 1,266 kilos, which I think is probably worth it. Apart from that, though, all we can really do is brakes. Interestingly, we can't put snow tyres on it, so there is no option at all of taking it to the new Canadian ice track, which is slightly disappointing. So I think all we can do, really, other than the weight reduction and the brakes, is throw in, if I can find it, the customizable computer, which brings power up a little bit. I think that's the only way you can increase power, and probably put some racing tyres on. And suspension. And then I think that's pretty much all we can do. Oh, brake pads to go with the carbon ceramics, but that's kind of it. Which does give it quite a high performance point rating, actually. So at this point I'd normally complain about it not being eligible for anything now that the performance points are quite so high, and that all you can really do is mess about in it. And I thought I had a solution to that this week. I thought I would go and test out the new Sophie AI system, which is available to those of us playing on PS5, I think, the updated version of that, the kind of more human AI system. I wanted to show that on video, because I've only briefly covered it on stream, but unfortunately it's not allowed in the Tesla. I think it's under Group X, the sort of stupid category that means you can't compete with anyone. Anyway, it didn't want to do that, so instead I've come here to circuit for a quick race, because this one had a 400% bonus on it. So, yes. As you can see, though, the entire field is made up of other Teslas, because of it being in that category that it means it can't compete with anything. So, it's brilliant that you can do this to your Tesla, but it's entirely useless in Gran Turismo. So, yes, although it has some kind of visual customization, which is quite interesting, and you can make it like this, it's kind of disappointing that you can't use it for anything. You can't put snow tyres on it, you can't test it against the other AI, you can't use it online, you can't use it in campaign races because it's rated too high, so all you can really do is these free play races, which is a bit limiting. It's almost as limiting as the constraints of having an electric car in real life. And that's kind of that, because we're against the regular AI, which are notoriously easy. We've won by a huge, huge margin. There we go. On the plus side, the car looks just about as mad as I had hoped it would look in the replay camera. Especially when compared to a whole pack of regular Model 3s. I did, to finish up this video, want to see if I could finally get the paddock feature to work, after previously trying it when I first looked at this update and on a couple of streams, but no. Would be nice if you fixed this, please, Gran Turismo. And that probably is going to do it then for a very first look at the Tesla Model 3 here on Gran Turismo 7. You might notice the cool little iPad screen that they've modelled really well here in Gran Turismo with the little car on it and all of that stuff, which I think is really cool. Something I didn't shout out about this car when I was driving it, but something I did notice earlier on. So yeah, it's incredibly fast, accelerates like an electric vehicle, but also seems to handle better and have a better top speed and stuff than I expected. Has some crazy customization, wide body as you would expect from Gran Turismo, plus all the sort of aero-y options, and of course you can paint it in a roof magenta colour, which is absolutely brilliant. Not a lot in the way of performance modifications. Being an electric car, you can't do anything with the engine, of course, but you can put a computer in it, put some better brakes, better suspension, better tyres, make it handle even better, and all of that. But if you do that, it's going to be entirely useless. Not just as useless as most cars are in Gran Turismo by the time you've upgraded them anyway, but being in the Group X, Category X, whatever it's called, you can't test it against the new AI. I don't think you'll be able to use it in anything online. The paddock feature still doesn't work, so we couldn't even take it into that. So apart from free play and sort of, well, just open lobby online stuff, there's really not a lot you can do with this car. So it is, like I said, when I took it to that last race there, as useless in this game as, well, electric cars are limiting in reality. And that's about all there is to say about this thing. It is cool to have something completely different like this in Gran Turismo, and like I say, it's not in any other games, so it has been fun testing this one out, but at this point, I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with this thing. Anyway, that is going to be all for today's video. Do let me know what you think of this update and of the Tesla Model 3 here in Gran Turismo, but that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next one very soon.